Hello and welcome to Perspectives. My name is David Schoneman, and I'm glad you're joining us here. We'd like that you tune in to listen to what our conversations are really about the new Trump administration and what's going on in Washington primarily. Today is April 1st, 2025. We are about 70 days into this new administration, and everything continues to happen very, very quickly. But not just in Washington with what our leaders are doing, but with some of the public reactions. We're going to talk about some of that today. I'm in the studio once again with Dave Narkunas and Greg Faith, and we're going to be discussing what's going on in Washington, really what's going around the country, and we'll see how some of these things may actually be affecting us here at home in Nashua, New Hampshire. Thanks for tuning in. Guys, thanks for coming in.
Of course.
Glad to have you here. So we're 70 days into it, approximately. And like we've said before, you know, the typical milestone point is 100 days. We're still a full month away from the 100th day. And usually you're trying to find things that have happened in 100 days. And here, you know, everything's happening and we're only 70 days into it. I mentioned just a moment ago about the reaction that some of the public are having. And we're seeing that a lot with Elon Musk and the Teslas.
They love this guy, now they hate him, they can't stand him.
This guy,
I don't understand.
This guy is a living Renaissance man. He's a modern day Da Vinci, if you ask me.
I agree.
And he did Starlink for the people with the hurricanes to give them communications with the rest of the world. He worked very hard he offered back in the last administration to go get the astronauts up there. I know people are supposed to have a certain number of contingencies that maintain the running of the International Space Station, but they weren't abandoned, but they were
left.
They weren't cared for.
Is the word I'm gonna look for.
They weren't really cared for. He offered, and then if you pay attention to his direct dialogue, he said, this was a political action.
I mean, for Biden to refuse.
For Biden to refuse. He says this was a political action against him and against the future administration. And he said, and it's a fact. You pay attention. My words are very exact. This is a fact, and that's what he said. And soon as Trump was in office, he goes, go get him. And then within 2 months, within 2 months, they went up and got him.
Replaced two bodies on board a spacecraft, got up.
You got two up, you got two back down. And he did it.
So he's accomplished these things.
Absolutely.
But he's being attacked.
And people want to assassinate him. They want to kill him as much as they want to kill Trump. He has said, from what I've gathered and what I've seen, literally by his own word, that there's an endless list of people and death threats against him. And that's just a terrible thing for someone who is so brilliant, who has done so much for this country.
Yeah.
And it's all, they go, oh, you've changed. You were a Democrat and now you're a Republican. And we're all about the green and now you're not about the green. He's all about efficiency. He's about efficiency now, obviously from his new, role.
Right.
And I think it is really unfortunate that people have to look through the lens of hatred at someone who has done so much, and they flip on a coin toss about how they view someone instead of keeping everything in perspective. Perspectives is the name of our show. Perspective, and it's something that needs to be addressed, and it's something that I think is unacceptable in a society that's supposed to espouse, even keel evaluation of people, and how they act. Are you going to evaluate him on the content of his character and his merits, or you're just going to hate because it's easy to hate, and you can join a party that just is designed to hate?
Yeah, I don't know. I really don't understand where this hate stuff comes from. When I was a kid, I wasn't paying attention like I am now. Was there hate at that time?
Oh, yeah. Oh, my gosh, yes. I could tell you instances by living in Memphis, Tennessee, or Clarksville, Tennessee, or Eastern Tennessee that some things are so ingrained in these people that they pass it from generation to generation to generation. Hate what happened. We lost. Can't get over it. Again, no, that guy gets an office in a city, or that guy gets in a state. Let's try to find a way. Television even does it. We were raised watching these TV shows where there's subtle little nuances that, that's true in today's. My dad would just sit there at that TV going, we're not watching this anymore. And he'd get over there and turn the channel because I was a remote. We're not watching it anymore.
Because he was cultivating hate.
Exactly.
And
And then when you watch the nightly news, in the original Who, What, When, Where, Why, What, we were just being fed the information. You were able to decide for yourself.
It's a psyops.
All of a sudden now,
TV is a psyops.
the 90s,
And that's why you don't watch TV.
we started not taking scores. We started coddling. We started doing, the family got broken up because of the dual income kids, or the society is the way it was, and all the free love. And of course, the liberals were always fighting with the Republicans because I'm leaving in the room and turn the lights off. You would leave it and not turn the lights off. Or, in those mentalities of, we need to look at they wouldn't pick up a book and go, okay, this is a good way of doing things, and this is a bad way of doing things. Let's just do it our way. There's no way. And a lot of people in the military, for example, enter boot camp, I don't care who you are, what color you are, what religion you, what God you're now mine. And we're going to take this out of your head, and we're going to put in what we want for survival of you and your shipmate or your teammate or your war fighter. This is it, guys. Because I remember in the Navy one time on board an aircraft carrier, they had a race riot, literally almost a race riot on board an aircraft carrier in the United States Navy. And everybody was reading the Navy Times going, you got to be kidding.
When did that happen?
Back in the 70s.
I don't remember that at all.
I don't want to name the ship, but just go out there and Google. It happened in the carrier, lower deck. One side got on one side, and one side got on the other side, and they were about ready to go. The old man finally came over to one MC and says, you better break this stuff up or you're all on report. And he meant to say, you're all going to be blind. I have the right to toss you off my ship, literally.
Yeah, I think, though, that the level of hate that's not just in Washington, but you look at what's happening to the Tesla dealerships and these cars. Just like you said.
Private property.
Musk was the hero of the left. He was the hero of the people that bought those cars. And now he's...
Flip the coin. It's like...
It's just like that. Just like that. There's no
TDS.
rationality behind it. We were down in Connecticut, and last weekend, we visited my mom. She lives down there, and there was one of these Cybertrucks, Tesla Cybertrucks, parked in the parking lot as we were driving by out of her complex, and had a bumper sticker on it. I mean, the owner was...
On the Toyota?
Well, he said, I bought this before Elon went crazy. And so he's trying to make the claim, hey,
deflected a little
don't come
bit.
after me.
Don't key my car.
Don't key my car. Now, I just saw in the news today that someone who got caught keying one of the Teslas, he's in big trouble.
Yes,
big trouble.
This is now called terrorism.
Yeah, I think that's great. It should be, because they're doing this
It's a political...
to make a political statement, to influence...
My personal property, if your property to be doing your demonstration on, and I will uphold the laws passed by the land, that's vandalism and or now is be considered
because it's done for
intentional
political
malice. It's intentional malice.
Yes, for political purposes.
Is what it is.
And then there's gunshots, bullets flying into the windows.
The one that blew up.
Yes.
I mean, there's famous footage of the one that just
they set them
exploded.
on
Tesla
fire
blew
and
up?
they burned
There
up.
was like 3 in a
6
row.
or 7 together.
Oh, yeah, I
3 in a
saw it.
row,
Yeah,
and
in a row.
one of them just...
Well, it blew up because now the combustible materials that are still in vehicles today, which is called the battery pack, is explosive.
Yeah.
Once it reaches a specific temperature, it's going to go.
Yeah.
And then the rest are going to go. And then the ones next to it are going to go.
It's just called a cascade effect.
Yeah.
And it's wrong because, as you were saying, we have to go back to television that's different than what it was, or different than what it was when I was growing up, where you watch the sci-fi shows, you watch the comedies, you watch the entertainment, the dance, and then at 10 o'clock and above was the adult programming. But now with the internet, that doesn't exist anymore. I'm in a grocery store the other day, and I'm watching this child on his tablet sitting in a little seat, and the mother don't give a dang on what the hell's going on that screen. And I'm looking at that thing going, uh-oh. Now we get them to toddlers. And anybody out there who's a writer or an artist, this is that mold of that framework.
Brainwashing 101. PsyOps, never forget this, and I love to say this every show. People need to pay attention to the power of PsyOps and brainwashing.
That's it.
Yeah.
And they have to be aware that it is happening
And you're allowed to
constantly.
We're
And so you
bombarded.
have to question everything. And one thing I learned from my dad is like, absolutely question everything.
Yeah.
Even if you think you're right, don't just assume you're right.
You know, and that used to be the mantra of the left. Question authority, question all this stuff. And now it's
No.
conform.
Trust,
Wow.
trust but verify.
Conform.
Trust but verify.
There,
Right.
You hit the word right there, conform.
Conform.
Trust but verify.
The Muslims have their philosophy, and their philosophy is you convert or you die.
Yeah.
I got a feeling that's what the Democrats are starting to feel because
There's a surprising alliance there and similarity in thinking between the Islamic State and modern Democrats, and in my mind, in terms of what the consequences are if you
Cross the
utter
line.
some blasphemy. You know, on the Islamic side, you're all going to be pals until one guy says, "Well, let's look at it this way." Now you're instantly ostracized and death threats and all that.
very much so. Very
And
much.
now it's also happening with the Democrats.
It's almost
So
It's
Elon Musk,
because
the
it's
biggest
party.
hero, now he's
It's because it's party focused instead of ideological focused on principle. It's not focused on, is this right or is this wrong? Does this make sense? Does this not make sense? It's, we go with the party line.
Right, it isn't-
It's a very akin to communism.
sure, because it's not about right and wrong.
Really-
It's about what benefits. What
bingo,
benefits us.
Bingo. How
So-
do I gain my power and retain it
Right.
at the same process?
That's why
of
they
allowing me
appear
do
to
that?
be
Slavery
changing
in a sense of
their view. They'll be favoring something. For instance, they favor choice when it comes to abortion, and they're against choice when it comes to school. All right, so
Right.
why are you in favor of choice but against choice? You argue because choice is good, then you say choice is bad.
They follow the party line.
Right,
It's
because
what
it's
they're doing.
really about what benefits the Democrat Party, and that's where the consistency is, because everyone's consistent on some level. So they voice advocate, they advocate choice, they advocate no choice. So where's the consistency? The consistency is in both cases they're advocating something
Correct.
that benefits their
flavor
party.
of the day is this, folks. Okay, follow suit now.
Right.
Lockstep in line.
Yeah.
I could see 1939 with these filling of an entire stadium and the arms go flying up and this guy's up there ranting, and even though I don't understand a word he's saying, I do understand every word he's saying because the sheeple are sitting there going, okay, well, yeah, my life's a whole lot better now than it was 2 years ago because we went blah, 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 and otherwise it's the ultimate and here we are in the United States going, every state, which makes us different now, is being brainwashed and being conditioned by saying, let's open up the border, let all these poor people come in, we're going to give them Social Security cards, we're going to let them vote, we're going to give them all the things that they want, but never mind you and never mind you. And now I've changed the state. Now it's no longer a swing state. It's going to be my color, which I'm an independent, folks. I don't know what color to pick. I ain't doing no rainbow stuff, but I respect the rainbow. But I want my color, and today my color's blue.
Yeah.
But we have to.
We're halfway through here. Let's talk a little bit about Doge. What has Doge found recently? Is there big
brought
pots
it
of money
right
coming
up.
out? And we might have a couple other things we're going to talk about too. But
Yeah,
where are we at with Doge these days?
Social Security giveaway.
the gravy train is over.
Yep.
And everyone is
charted it.
really upset about the exposure of the corruption because they're part of it and they know they're part
Well,
of
they
it.
got caught. It's all coming out.
It's-
all-
What's the Social Security thing?
It is where we're giving people monies and giving them coverage and Social Security numbers to come across the border illegally.
And that's what Doge has found?
That's what Doge found in a major way. Trump's years,
All the graphs.
all of a
talk
sudden the
about
graph goes up, it skyrockets, and I'm sitting there going, yeah, that makes sense. He wants to bring in these voters, bribery, whatever he means, by giving them
So
Social
that's the
Security
open
cards.
border. But what about them? Is money going to those guys?
Yes,
Social
absolutely.
Security
Yes,
money
sir.
going to
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Payments.
Billions. Yeah.
So, and the key is, once I give you a Social Security card, you can get a driver's license, or then you can get a voter's license or voter's registration. So if I give you all these freebies, with a guarantee of becoming a citizen eventually, you're going to go to. Why do you think you took the 3 o'clock planes in the morning to different parts of the country, dumping off all these people?
the Air Force bases.
Well,
Yeah.
they
That's
were
where they
going
put-
into
that's where they
the
flew
local
them to.
establishments, but they weren't even, their foot hit the ground and they were out that base. They didn't even know they were on a base. They just knew the airplane landed, get on this bus, and hit to some little Main Street USA.
Yeah.
And they're up here. I have no problem, but being where I work, I've noticed that since somebody else got elected, that's not whoever this state wanted to be elected, I don't have to worry about specific languages now running around that store every day looking
really?
for help.
You've seen a change.
I have literally seen a change because I stand by the door where the people come in. I'm going, okay, it worked. They're afraid to come up here. They're getting in mass. The mayor of Boston got her butt handed to her by that gentleman Holloman. Is that his name?
Tom Home.
Tom Home. Yeah.
Tom Home.
He's like, lady, we're coming in, and he just did it within the last couple of weeks. Took 300 something people out.
She claims, you can't do this. And he goes, I have absolute authority over you to do this. And I'm going to do this.
And then somebody's
that's
gonna-
all there is to it. So you better get ready for it. And he went and he cleaned up what? Hundreds.
310 people.
Hundreds of
Last
people.
count.
What's going on
Wiped
with the
out.
deportation flights right now? I know that district
I
judge
know,
blocked them.
El Salvador.
Yeah. Well, here's what's happening. They're shaving them. They're taking all their belongings away from them. They're throwing them in a mass jail down there.
But are they deportation flights continuing?
Oh, yes, absolutely.
Yes.
Yes.
So didn't this judge, does he not have the authority? Did someone else say, did the Supreme Court step in? What's happened?
Trump
I think
is
Trump is
pretty
asking
much,
for the Supreme Court to step
he,
in, isn't
he
he?
says, I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing because I'm
He
within the law.
supersedes because of
He's the president of
presidential
the United-
authority.
Yeah, he's the president.
So the order still stands.
Order
No
still stands.
superior, no judge has
Say whatever he wants.
has said, yep, this is a legitimate
correct.
order from this judge or not, but Trump is continuing.
He is because he knows he knows the Constitution. He's got enough people
He
standing around
actually
him with
does.
suits
He
and
actually
ties.
does know the Constitution.
That, you know, when you surround yourself with knowledge, you're not stupid. And I'll go ahead and put your injunction in. The planes across the international date line or whatever.
But they're still taking
still
off and
doing
still
it,
going.
yes.
Yes.
Now, how many have been deported so far to El Salvador?
That
Any idea?
they're,
Over 1,000.
it's all
Something like
now.
that.
These are people that are known criminals
Sure.
by record of that country from which they had come from. The president,
Serious.
he's on the phone with these guys going, I want to know all about these people. Here's your DNA samples. Either the money's going to keep flowing or it won't. And he hung up. And he says, okay. So now the Department of Justice is all working with these different countries to get these dossiers and doom, 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 doom. Yeah, nobody's blowing smoke about murderers, rapists, thieves, bookies, criminals, gang members.
But the flights are still going.
The flights are still going to the best of my knowledge. Now,
Okay.
if anybody out there wants to find me wrong, okay, but I know for a fact that they're still going on.
All right, good. I think they should still go on.
Absolutely,
And I
they
think
should
that
go.
that judge.
Because he's not going for the little lady with the 2 kids. He's going after the gangbangers, the Denver, Colorado bunch. He's gotten those
Yep.
folks, got them out of there. He's gone to Chicago.
Trinidad,
He went
those are
to
the-
to
yes.
Boston, and now he's working Boston, Miami. You don't have to worry. DeSantis, he's all over this. He's like, look, we got
Bread and butter. That's my bread and butter is getting him out of here. Yeah.
He knows.
Speaking about DeSantis in Florida, I saw an article on the news talking about, I think, Coral Gables
Okay.
in
Yeah,
Florida,
in Florida.
and the influx of Chinese
I wouldn't doubt it.
coming in on boats
That's probably true. Oh yeah, that's how California
into
was doing it.
Florida.
If you remember back in the 80s where they called them border babies, there was a visitor system going on in California where they would come in pregnant, very pregnant, go to these they would buy the rent of these buildings and put these pregnant Chinese women in these places. Love this part. They'd have their baby. It's now given a U.S. citizenship. And the woman's like, okay, now what? Well, you're on your own. The United States is going, okay, we'll deport you. The Chinese are just laughing because we're the ones paying for it to have them sent back. Now remember, this Chinese citizen is now an American citizen also because it's born in this country. Goes over to China and now becomes a ward of their state. Now imagine when this little person starts to call, and next thing you know, you've got this kid coming back over because he's got his American rights and American citizenship, starts entering business or entering government or entering state and blah, blah,
Yeah,
blah.
I know.
They're they're adults now. They're in their 30s.
They're carrying the mindset.
And
With them.
my biggest worry, and people of my age is going, they're in nuclear power plants, they're in electrical generation, they're in
Positions
one
of power.
phone call, and we've got ourselves in a world of hurt. Now, this all goes to the Houthis and to what's going on in the Far East, in the Middle East, and wherever. You pick a fight with somebody, they get on a plane. We just got through it. They get on a plane, they come over, they get plotted, they get the money handed to them because everybody's funding them, and they do their dirty. And this guy did it for 4 years. We don't know, I don't know, you don't know, your next door neighbor could be the next guy to set off that dirty bomb or whatever.
We don't know.
But
what's happening with the babies that are born? Trump has talked about wanting to change.
He's going to change the 16th Amendment, I believe it is, where the history is after Lincoln emancipated, the government said, well, what do we do with all these people? Well, we're going to make them citizens. Well, there's got to be a ruling in the Constitution to make it happen because Texas for 2 years forgot about it.
So that's where this came from. If you were born here, you became a citizen.
If you're not a citizen of two people that are citizens, the baby is no longer an American citizen if it's a foreign national. If both the mother and father are foreign nationals, the child is born in this country, it's no longer an American citizen, it's now the citizen of the country for which it came from.
So that just changed?
It hasn't been changed yet because it takes act of Congress.
Okay.
He could do an IE.
So is that happening? Is that?
It's in progress from last word that I was watching.
Okay, so it hasn't happened yet.
It hasn't happened yet.
Two foreign nationals have a baby here.
It's the nation of their.
But right now, they're an American citizen.
The child is. Yes.
The child is, yeah. So we'll see what happens with that.
Amendment.
You mentioned signals.
Signals. Oh,
Let's talk about what happened with the signals. This seems to be the thing that the Democrats are
cat that got
latching
in.
to right now.
This is a ploy.
Why do you say it's a ploy? Actually, let's tell a story. We got attack on the Houthis, right? And then there were texts going on. They're called signals, where these different branches are interacting real time to kind of coordinate what's going on. We know what time F-16s
not
are
really
flying.
Coordinating. They're not. No, that's not the case. What
That's
it was
too
it's
exact.
post-attack evaluation.
Okay, so post-attack evaluation, they're sending all this stuff back and forth, and it's on a secure link.
Correct.
But it's by text, encrypted link, and theoretically unbeknownst to the people that are having a conversation, that are in this chat on the phone. There's this guy who is from the Atlantic.
Correct. He got put into that chat.
He's a lefty, and he just wants to embarrass Trump whenever
What are
possible.
the odds of that?
Yeah.
What are the odds of that?
And when you're looking into text, he released the actual documentation that he had.
So it hurts
to
America.
The public. Yes,
to do that.
Severely does.
But it damages Trump.
And that's what they want.
Well, that's the intention.
So that's the intention. So
Embarrasses
he
them.
was willing to sacrifice the good of the country
National
in
integrity.
order national
The
security
man's a traitor. in my opinion.
I think so too, to try to score a point against the Trump administration.
And again, when he's the Defense Department secretary said there was no classified discussed.
Yeah, okay.
But
it was post. You said it was post.
It was post the mission backslaps.
But still, this guy shouldn't have been there. Now, how did he get there?
They're saying it was an aide in the White House.
That
name unknown, and we're never going to find out.
We're never going to find out.
They had a congressional meeting where these people sat in this room with public TV, and I watched the whole thing from beginning to end. And you could tell who was the right and who was the left because the way that they're finger pointing and and threatening and their demeanor, that the people that were there were saying, listen, nothing was discussed or let out to be classified, but it is a classified system.
But the person shouldn't have been there.
Well, that's what I kept watching this report going, why is anybody finding out that, get the person in who set it up. That's all who I want to know about is who was the intern or the staffer that set up the chat, regardless of who's on it. Now, because if we're having a conversation here and the gentleman in the other room is hearing it and he's taking notes, beknownst to me, well, the individual who was sitting there on the chat wasn't talking. He wasn't putting his, when the chat comes up, you start seeing all the individual phone numbers, and somebody finally went, wait a minute, now this has been released, now it's made public. They're all backstepping going, what? You know, you may be in Greenland, you may be in blah, 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 blah. That's why the president got drug in, because he's like, what'd you guys do?
So who was responsible?
Well, the
don't know.
president, the president's responsible because it's his staff.
Well,
his
they
cabinet.
say-
So
Well,
is someone going to lose their job over this?
they
Is
say-
one of the top guys going to lose their job over
no.
this?
He's already said, everybody, you're good.
Good. Everybody's good.
Everybody's
Including him,
good.
including, was it Kevin Waltz?
Yeah, Evan Walsh. He's
Walsh.
the
Walsh.
chief of staff for the White House.
Okay.
Everything has
good.
their own.
And the
hierarchy.
president said he's good.
He said everybody's good. Just both Secretary of
We're gonna
State,
work on
Secretary
it.
of
We're going to
Defense.
work on it, make sure it doesn't happen again. But how did this happen? Was it on purpose,
forensics.
by design, to see who is leaking what and how they're going to leak what?
And in
Yeah.
this skiff,
You know,
or this
this is-
under closed doors congressional meeting, they'll have the individual who was the staffer there. We're never going to know who that was unless, and I got a feeling Adam Schiff's going to release it because this guy can't shut his mouth. So I'm just waiting for this closed session
Unless
to
they
occur.
find out that the person who released it is a lefty, then Adam Schiff is not going to release it.
Of course not.
Yeah.
Again, that's why I said you'll never hear about
Yeah.
what this
Adam
is,
Schiff
because it's not going to be
because it wasn't
detrimental.
released by a Trump ally. It was released
Correct.
by an enemy of Trump.
But this
a
is the
holdover
thing. This is
from
the
the
thing that people
Biden
have to
or Obama.
consider. The people, we got Tulsi Gabbard, we got Rubio, we have people at the highest level that are so sharp that this would not be released unless it was designed to figure out
Well,
who could be the mole.
we were
who,
tested.
Who could be? It's a test.
It's
It's,
a
a test to see who could
it
be
worked.
trusted or not
So
trusted.
you think it was done intentionally as
I believe it was.
Yes.
I
of
believe
exposing somebody?
that we've got a mole. We got a rat.
That's it.
We want to find
Yep,
out because
yep.
it proved its point. Who was the person that put him on that list? Because it has to be done by not a committee,
And
by
now
an
you know who
individual.
you can trust and not trust. So
Well-
it was a test, like COVID's a test, like this is a test. And
purge. We have to purge.
So this
all
was a
these.
test, though, by the Trump administration.
In my
you're saying.
opinion, it was because of the format. I'm going, wait, but these guys are all like, okay, we know what's going on here. We've all talked. Let's go out and do our thing. This is going to be the opportunity to strike today.
who can we trust? Who can we not trust?
But it wasn't before the attack,
No, it was after the attack.
and it was after. So
The attack had occurred. Success. We have a hand slap. That's why I say it was a back slapping session between all these high-ranking government officials at the White House. They weren't together, so they're all. And that's what Trump kept going as well. We can't have everybody in a closed room all the time.
Yeah.
These are what we have Signal for, and Signal's been an accepted version of how to do business.
Sure.
That's why all these frizzy-haired lefties are going, "Oh, we didn't know about that," and then they got caught in an embarrassed situation.
Well, they're trying to make hay out of it.
Of
I
course,
think
and it's not working.
It's not working.
No.
You know, they're trying to make hay out of whatever they can.
Well, they're gonna
they don't
try
have any
everything.
hay, basically.
It's
That's
like
that's
they're,
the
they're
problem
pulling
that
on
they're facing.
strings and hoping something comes out.
Yeah.
They're pulling on strings.
Well, maybe,
and
you know,
hoping
I always
something
think
comes
that Trump's pulling on strings too. So
He has
if
to
this
be.
was set up,
Oh.
then he's pulling the strings
Yeah.
to get those
He's-
guys
He's
to
making them
he's
look
smart.
bad.
He's-
step on their own.
He's learning finally.
Yeah.
We know that he has evolved from his last presidency.
Absolutely. Had a
He-
4-year
he's
break.
way ahead of these
absolutely
guys.
has
He's
evolved.
way ahead of
He's
Adam
playing
Schiff
3D
and-
chess, and they're still playing
That's
chess.
right. And Schumer and Pelosi. He's way ahead of
I
them.
want to see some jail time for a lot of those people because
I would too.
an example would be they're still doing insider trading.
Yeah.
Everyone
I know.
knows. Everyone knows that.
I know.
Everyone under
They're
the
still
sun
stealing.
knows that.
Yes.
And we're in Volinsky. I don't know where the money's at. That's his. I don't know where the money's at.
It's going back to the Democratic Party. I'll tell you.
Then you can't have no more.
Yeah.
It's getting refunneled to the Democrat
It's
Party.
embarrassing.
Guys, we're out of time here.
Oh my gosh.
Goes
it was
really
so
fast. Thanks for coming in. I really
Well, it's been a
appreciate
pleasure.
having the
Happy
conversations.
April
I think we
1st.
learn a lot. And I think I mentioned before, I'm not watching the news quite as much as I was
glad
in the
for you.
past because
That's what we're here
we got to
for,
keep
right?
Isaac, our son, away from it. That's one of our goals, and I don't need the heartburn. I like to know what's going on, but I'm reaching an age where
Well,
it causes the heartburn. But I got you guys to
combine
help
us. You
out.
combine
try.
us. We can
We'll try.
keep you up to par.
All right, good. Well, thank you very much. I
We'll see you
appreciate
again
it.
soon, I
And
hope.
folks, I hope you've enjoyed the conversation too. I'm David Schoneman here with Dave Narkunas and Greg Faith. And if you have any questions or comments about some of the things we're talking about, send us an email. We'd be glad to take a look at them and try to answer some of your questions too on a future episode. But thank you very much for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.